Charlie and Caroline find romance has the upper hand in the Caribbean, whilst Laura collects some souvenirs.
May I make a suggestion?
I'm always open to suggestions.
Charlie, the best times of my life are with you.
Moonlit moments and Caribbean canoodlings, the upper hand, Monday at 8.
Ah, that time too. Well, a comedy for tonight is provided by the Stop at Nothing Hale and Pace at 10:20, who this week dip into Spanish hospitality. And before that at 9:20, Poirot sampling the generous hospitality of Buenos Aires, so don't miss that. Now you've been framed.
Mama.
Mama?
Anna.
Mama?
Mama.
Mama?
Mama.
Mama, mama.
Mama.
Marmite is made with yeast, one of the richest natural sources of B vitamins. Marmite. Her mate, your mate. Mates for life.
Play Rich 5 in Today.
Play Rich 5 and win a fortune. Oh, I won a fortune once, sir. Lost it all again, though. Put on the mantelpiece. The wife must have cleared it up or something. Women, eh?
Just match 3 numbers to win a fortune every day.
Something for the weekend, sir. Who's the lucky sir? Here we are.
Get your Rich 5 card tomorrow. In Today, that little bit smarter.
Joan, would you say that driving the Rover Metro is as exciting as being a world-famous star? Well, Joan, is driving a Rover Metro as exciting as being a world-famous star? Ah, what would she know anyway? Phone this number for a test drive and find out for yourself just how exciting the Rover Metro really is.
He's a nice boy, but he's one banana short of a bunch. He can't stop buying it. The subtle colours, the softness, the fact that it's longer than some other brands. Thanks to him, I've always got plenty of kitten soft. Lucky it's such excellent value. Can't have him hanging about all day. Dixel Kitten Soft, value that's worth shouting about.
Canderella in the morning, Canderella in the evening, Canderella...
More people are making the change. Isn't it time you moved over to Canderel?
Now there's a new way to help you give up smoking. The Nicorette patch, available without a prescription from your pharmacist. If you're determined to quit, it'll help you beat your craving.
She slashed his suits. She trashed his shoes. All I did was have a little fling.
With her sister, sir.
She parked his favourite plane in the TV. Then made herself some low-fat Ovaltine light. After which, she saw the lighter side of things. But he... well, he didn't.
Better put the kettle on, Constable.
Tonight, Poirot returns to an unsolved mystery.
Pretty dangerous round here. Buenos Aires really isn't the place to be.
You are Hercules Poirot?
Iris did not commit suicide.
You're under arrest.
I'll call the French embassy. No! The Belgian embassy! Wiggle!
An iris delivered anonymously rekindles a case with a South American flavour for Poirot. Drama tonight at 9:20.
Renault 19. You're looking at temptation.
This week in the Sun, big value family holidays for just £8.50 per person. 58 great seaside resorts all over Great Britain. The holiday you want at a price you love. 350,000 Sun readers went last year. Don't miss it this year. 500,000 holidays for £8.50. Life's always better in the Sun.
Oh, now we're turning our fares upside down in the EC. With the Lufthansa Best Price Guarantee, we match all scheduled fares. This obviously doesn't please everybody.
Oh.
Lufthansa at the best price guarantee. Oh, special limitations apply. For information, call 0800 300 747 anytime.
We've just added a downstairs loo. How? With Saniflu. Saniflu? Yes, and it was so quick and easy to install. Economical, too. In fact, we could have installed it almost anywhere. Anywhere? Oh, it's easy. Just ask your plumber.
Rule 1. Take a cold shower before breakfast. 2. Get plenty of fresh air. 3. Eat sensibly. 4. Don't go out without a vest on. 5. Drink lots of water. 6. Watch those calories. 7. Join a squash club.
It isn't that hard to look after yourself. Findus Lean Cuisine. Delicious low-fat recipes. When you know what's good for you.
I've been asked to test Radion Micro Plus. They say it tackles the most difficult horrible stains. Sounds great. Just hope it's true. Well, you can't get a better clean than that. Colour's great, and it smells pretty good too. Let's have the ball, John.
Get more out. Put Radion in.
Just when you thought the most dangerous thing in your shower was treading on the soap, the nightmare is back, and this time it's out of control. Now there's double the terror, double the suspense, and double the water bill. Norman's back, and he's brought his mother with him, so at 10:40 this Monday, make sure you take the shower off the hook. Catch Psycho 2, or I'll tell Mother.
This is Granada, now the latest weekend news from ITN.
Good evening, this is the news and sport from ITN. The headlines tonight: the currency markets are braced, it could be the end of the ERM. Mr. Heseltine's the target for Tory anger over coal. And a move tonight to bring Nigel Short's chess showdown to Britain.
And tonight's main sports story: England face an uphill battle to save the first test.
Currency dealers in London believe that Europe's entire exchange rate mechanism is now virtually finished. The French franc could come under strong pressure when the money markets open in the morning. Yesterday, the Irish pound was devalued by 10% after an emergency meeting of common market bankers and finance chiefs.
The headlines in Dublin today: all the evidence needed of a humiliating climb down by the new government. Defence of the punt abandoned as high interest rates crippled the economy. Ireland's European partners took the blame. Finance Minister Bertie Ahern said they hadn't helped enough. He called for changes to the ERM, stoutly defending the move to devalue the punt.
If I was to allow what was happening last week, the central bank rates to seep in into the wholesale rates, seep into the retail rates, and the ordinary public to suffer because of a fault in the system that lies elsewhere, outside of the Irish economy, that would have been wrong.
Tomorrow the foreign exchanges will give their verdict on the devaluation of the punt. It'll come under more pressure if the British pound continues to fall. But it's on the franc that the fate of the ERM now hangs. For the French too, the costs of the system are beginning to outweigh the benefits.
French inflation is below German inflation. The economic fundamentals for France are extremely good. Despite that, the franc is under pressure. French interest rates are rising. This is not a situation which can be allowed to persist over the medium term. If it does, I think it spells the end of the exchange rate mechanism.
On Thursday, Helmut Schlesinger, president of the German Bundesbank, could extend the ERM a lifeline by agreeing to cut interest rates at the bank's next council meeting. But even that may now be too late. Every time the exchange rate mechanism suffers one of its periodic convulsions, there are audible sighs of relief here in Whitehall and at Westminster that the pound is no longer part of the system. It's clear that the storm which engulfed Europe's currency markets on Black Wednesday last September hasn't abated yet. Greg Wood, ITN, Central London.
Some Conservative backbenchers said openly tonight that Michael Heseltine's political future has been seriously jeopardised by the Pitts crisis. Cabinet ministers meet during the week to discuss just how many collieries can be saved. Tonight, British Coal repeated that pits which are closed could be sold off to the private sector.
There's no question for now of Mr Heseltine spending more time with his family. Westminster Code for leaving the government. He remains convinced of the commercial logic of the original decision to shut 31 pits. But since that won't happen, even his supporters know it's only the scale of the climb down which is still in doubt.
I think at the lowest end, if these proposals are adopted, you could save about 13 pits, possibly, in my view, about 17. I think it's really raising expectations too far when people say 20-odd, because what that means is simply you're ripping out the coal in the short term for about the next year or so before you actually close the pits.
Nonetheless, the pit closure decision is seen by Tory critics as a glaring failure of political judgment by a man who once aspired to be Prime Minister.
So far as energy in this country is concerned, Michael Heseltine is responsible for it. He will obviously have to do something of a somersault as a result of the various reviews that have taken place, and it will be for him to decide what he wants to do.
While that view does reflect a continuing chorus of criticism among Tory MPs of Mr Heseltine's whole handling of this affair, Downing Street was at pains to point out there's no question of him being sidelined. And Mr Heseltine's friends were saying he has absolutely no intention of quitting. As one MP put it, the problem with some of my colleagues is that they just can't see a man down without giving him a good kicking. Mark Webster, ITN, Westminster.
Hundreds of Europeans, including Britons, have begun their evacuation from Zaire, where up to 100 people have died in anti-government riots. They're being ferried under military escort from the capital, Kinshasa, to Brazzaville in the Congo. From there, they'll be flown to Brussels. It's now thought 114 people were killed or injured in Kenya's worst train crash. The train plunged into a swollen river after a bridge was washed away by floodwaters. It was on its way from Mombasa to the capital, Nairobi, with 600 passengers. The Iraqis have hinted that 2 Britons jailed in Baghdad may soon be freed. Iraq's Deputy Prime Minister Tariq Aziz suggested Michael Wainwright and Paul Ryde could be released if Iraqi assets in Britain were unfrozen. The families of the 2 men have appealed to the British government to respond positively.
The jailing of Paul Ryde and Michael Wainwright has become an intractable diplomatic problem between Britain and Iraq. One of Saddam's most trusted aides is offering a simple deal. Free Iraq's frozen millions to buy medicine, we'll free the 2 men.
Why shouldn't they allow us to buy medicine from England itself, from your own companies, to cure our children? If they do that, if they show some humanitarian sympathy towards the Iraqi people, that will encourage our government and our people to show similar humanitarian sympathies.
That's an offer the government should respond to, say Michael Wainwright's relatives.
I think it's time the government did something now. I mean, we've sat back and we've waited long enough. I mean, Michael's been in there since May. And I do honestly think that the Iraqis do need medical aid, and if there's the only way that they're going to get Michael out, then they should do it.
Paul Ryde's wife, Julie, also supports unfreezing the Iraqi cash if it'll help her husband win freedom.
But at the Foreign Office, there's little enthusiasm for Tariq Aziz's offer. Privately, officials are saying that any cash for prisoners deal would simply be diplomatic blackmail. Howell Jones, ITN, Whitehall.
3 of Britain's leading engineers say the Croatians have probably managed to prevent a disaster at the mine-damaged Perugia Dam. After examining the dam today, the British team declared the immediate crisis over.
The team of British engineers arrived at the Perugia Dam this morning, answering an appeal by the Croatian government for expert assistance. Their first task was to inspect the ominous cracks that have appeared since retreating Serbian forces detonated mines on the dam.
This crack going, was there a deep crack in there?
No, it was
Just like this?
Yeah, just like this.
So only this top part seems to have moved.
With 20,000 Croatians at risk if the damaged structure disintegrates, Britain is the first country to offer help. Heading the team is Dr. Paul Back, an international authority on the design of dams and the way they respond to man-made and natural disasters. He was taken to see a new 15-foot deep crater that had only just appeared on top of the dam.
This morning at 7 o'clock, this was not here.
And now it's here.
Despite this setback, Dr. Back believes prompt action by Croatian engineers in the hours after the explosion may have prevented a disaster.
The dam was within a very sick state at that moment, and that the actions that were taken to reduce the water level, to tip the material, which they have done, has clearly stabilised the situation, which was in danger of getting out of control.
The British engineers expect to complete their report within the next 48 hours. For the time being, they appear satisfied that the danger is over, but they are concerned at the fresh cracks and craters that are appearing in the dam. Croatian soldiers are now trying to repair the latest damage. They believe the dam has been saved and that the British experts will eventually confirm that view. Paul Davis, ITN, on the Peruća Dam in Croatia.
In Russia, family finances have been stretched to breaking point as the struggling market economy sends inflation soaring. But now the cost of dying is spiralling out of control.
When Natasha Baskina's husband was murdered 2 months ago, another victim of Moscow's soaring crime rate, she faced a funeral bill 3 times her annual salary.
I still don't know how we managed. I earned 3,000 rubles a month. We spent 80,000 to get everything done. Even a suit to bury my husband cost 25,000 rubles.
And that wasn't all. There were bribes to gravediggers, bribes to transport the coffin, even to have a death certificate issued. Somehow relatives managed to find the money, but there's no tombstone. They can cost 6 months' pay. As hyperinflation wipes out savings, fewer Russians can afford to give family members a decent send-off. An entire new class of paupers has been created. They end up in state-run morgues. This is Moscow's most modern. Others are antiquated and hopelessly overcrowded. The bodies are kept for 2 months and then cremated. The crisis is worsening as prices continue to soar. It's a Russian tradition to drink a toast to the newly departed, but increasingly Russians are going to their graves in cardboard boxes, even paper bags. Death, they say, is the great leveller, but even in death, many people here can find little dignity. Granada, ITN, Moscow.
The British Chess Federation says Nigel Short's challenge for the World Championship should be held in London. Short became the first British chess player this century to reach the world final. He says he now expects a bitter fight when he takes on the current holder, the Russian Garry Kasparov.
Nigel Short and his family the morning after the night before, scarcely pausing to savour his victory before planning his attack on Garry Kasparov and the World Championship. No love lost between these two contenders.
He doesn't mind making himself very unpleasant. He's actually thoroughly unpopular with his with his colleagues. In fact, he has almost no respect at all from any of his colleagues because he's such a thoroughly unpleasant person.
And these are the two weapons in Nigel's battle for the championship. His trainer, Luboš Kavalek, who coached Bobby Fischer in 1972, and his 120 megabyte computer with 1 million chess games on file, including every game Kasparov ever played. Kavalek also no fan of the world champion.
And, you know, he's a former communist, so he uses the communist methods basically in dealing with people, which is basically a power struggle. You keep power, you keep gaining more and more power, you know, you try to... This is who is not going with us is against us, there is no other way, you know, it's black and white or whatever. And, you know, I wouldn't really like to work for Kasparov. It must be a martyrdom, you know, to be with him.
For Britain's first chess millionaire, the normally mild-mannered Nigel Short, this will be like no other match he's ever played. His daughter, Kaivelli, too young to appreciate her father's talent and the enormous task that faces him in the months ahead. Peter Sharp, ITN in Escorial.
Now with news of today's sport, here's Graham Miller.
England's cricketers take to the field in Calcutta in a few hours' time, battling to save the first Test match against India. Forced to follow on after being bowled out for 163, England are 128 for 2 in their second innings, still 80 runs behind India.
Fairbrother was England's last recognised batsman. After just one over, he went the way of all the others. But the follow-on was almost saved by the tail. Chauhan, India's most effective spinner, finally made Taylor run out of patience. Salisbury, though, lasted 3 hours at the crease. But with just 9 runs needed to reach relative safety, Moray struck again. As all India looked forward to roasting the English batsman again, a refreshed Gooch came out determined to go on the attack. And with Stewart too taking on India's tiring spinners, England suddenly had visions of making a game of it. Then a rare lapse in concentration cost Gooch his wicket. Moray spotting him leaning a fraction too far forward. The umpire's eyesight good enough to clarify that no part of his foot was inside the line. But the decision which gave Stewart out was less satisfactory, the bat appearing to go nowhere near the ball. Tomorrow England need a big change of luck to save the game.
The West Indies are moving ever closer to victory against Australia in the 5th and final test in Perth. Having bowled the Australians out for 119, the West Indies ran up a first innings total of 322, a lead of 203. At close of play on the second day, Australia was 75 for 4 in reply. Football, and Liverpool won for the first time in 8 games, beating Arsenal by 1-0 at Highbury this afternoon. It effectively ended Arsenal's title hopes, but the bookies cut Liverpool's championship odds from 50 to 1 to 33 to 1.
Liverpool, having one of their worst seasons for 30 years, were desperate for a convincing result against Arsenal. And it was their goalkeeper, David James, who was to prove Liverpool's saviour. Liverpool then got a penalty when Linegan was adjudged to have pulled down Rush. John Barnes making no mistake. But when Arsenal were awarded a penalty just 2 minutes later, Wright the culprit this time against Kevin Campbell, James pulled off a superb save to give Liverpool maximum points. Meanwhile, in the First Division, runaway league leaders Newcastle got an early scare against Derby County, who went ahead after just 2 minutes through Tommy Johnson. Battling Derby then held on bravely, but 40 seconds into injury time, Newcastle at last got a deserved equaliser. Robert Lee's cross found Liam O'Brien, and he made no mistake from 6 yards.
Tennis, and Jim Courier has won the Australian Open for the 2nd year running. He beat Stefan Edberg in 4 sets. The American has now taken 4 of the last 6 Grand Slam tournaments to confirm his ranking as world #1. And James Bailey gave British tennis a boost. He won the boys' singles title, the first Briton to win such an event since 1965. Veteran sailor Robin Knox-Johnson today started his epic voyage to sail round the world in 80 days. He and his crew will race their 85-foot catamaran Enza against 2 rival boats. They're copying the fictional Jules Verne story of Phileas Fogg's 80-day trip. To do that, they'll have to average 14 knots a day and will knock 29 days off the present record. Later on this evening, the biggest event in the American sporting calendar will get underway. An estimated 170 million viewers will tune in for Super Bowl 27 between the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills.
Some people will do absolutely anything to be amongst the 103,000 American football fans at the 27th Super Bowl in Pasadena, California. For them, no challenge is too great in the pursuit of a ticket. For the players, it's a serious business. Can it be third time lucky for the Buffalo Bills, losing finalists for the past 2 years? Or are they to fall foul of tonight's favourites, the Dallas Cowboys? And of course, behind every successful football team, there must stand the cheerleaders. Football is an obsession with the Americans. When the game starts in less than 2 hours' time, the country will grind to a halt until this year's champions are crowned.
And that's the news tonight from Graham and me and all the weekend team. Good night.
Good night.
Hello, good evening as we go into a very chilly night. Now here's the reason why. We have high pressure there out to the North Sea and a rather troublesome cold front strung out across southern counties like so and proving a bit of an irritant with so much cloud attached to it, although most of the rain has disappeared. So in terms of actual weather for tonight, we see mist and fog patches floating around, mainly in places like the Vale of York, in the Midlands, as well as the southwest. Now down south there's a lot of cloud with some very, very patchy drizzle there, but clear skies, as you'd expect, indicating a very cold night indeed. Now look at these temperatures, well below freezing in most places. -4, for instance, in central southern Scotland is a very shivery sounding 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So as we go into tomorrow, we do so on a dry note, sunny, fine morning for most of us, apart from perhaps an isolated shower there in Shetland. But for southern counties, a whole different weather picture, a lot of cloud around here and some very patchy drizzle. And by the end of the day, the cloud really does get the upper hand, piling up out to the west, with rain getting into Ireland. Temperature-wise, a touch chillier than today's values, 4 or 5. That's the lower 40s in Fahrenheit terms. The message being, wrap up warm. I leave you with a reminder of frost and fog on the way tonight.
The square mile, the hub of England's banking system. But are these banks ripping you off?
As soon as times get a little bit difficult, you can't see them for dust.
And has their code of conduct helped?
I think their code of conduct stinks.
Are you paying for their losses?
1 in 3 accounts that we check are wrong.
Are their charges too high?
They have actually quite cynically increased charges.
The changing world of high street banks. Is their credit overdrawn? Monday, 8:30.
Next, an assignment for Poirot.
Whatever your circumstances, you should be with N&P.
Don't worry, Colin, it'll be there.
DHL?
No problem, sir. Can do.
DHL, we never forget that whenever we deliver your package, we are delivering something more important. Your promise.
The new Nissan Micra has a completely new 16-valve engine, giving it amazingly low fuel consumption. It also has a 9.4-meter turning circle, twin catalytic converters, and has been voted Car of the Year 1993. The new Nissan Micra lives in the city, loves the open road.
They're the supermodels. Naomi, Cindy, Claudia. And this week they talk privately to the Daily Express about their beauty secrets, the tricks of their trade, and the catwalk gossip in a spectacular 24-page Paris fashion pullout, Fashion DX. And it's Cantona, soccer's maverick glamour boy, talks about life at Manchester United and his passion for football. With Monday's 24-page Paris fashion pullout, no wonder you're reading the Daily Express.
breakfast. Get the taste, get the shape.
Whatever your circumstances, you should be with N&P.
Just a taste of the goodies in store for next week on Granada. On Monday, Charlie reveals his true feelings.
May I make a suggestion?
I'm always open to suggestions.
Charlie, best times of my life are with you.
More emotion on Tuesday, but of a different kind. The insufferable Amanda Truth goes into hiding from the press and from her ex in full stretch.
It's just that if we're doing another overnight, I'd like to buy some clean socks and a toothbrush.
I haven't thought about it.
On Thursday, a few pointers from Dave Allen.
Directions. I suppose Ireland is the best place in the world for directions. People will say to you, I wouldn't start from here if I were you.
Friday, and the good guys get too hot to handle when they hold the key to a fortune.
What if we both run off in different directions at once? One of us might make it. Well, then only one of us will be dead.
If you think that's a sticky situation, Barrymore's got himself into a right state on Saturday.
I would like to know, are all of you still happy with your watch? We wash this half of the audience in conditioner.
From an evening of madness, escape to the zoo on Sunday and a world of animal crackers in You've Been Framed. Some of the highlights for next week here on Granada.
Now on Granada, a second chance at a case for Poirot.
AEG, helping Poirot with his inquiries.